I don't want to be strong like man who look pretty. I want to be strong like bitch that fight bears in the forest.
Welcome to another episode of Bitch vs. Bear with your hosts, me, Amber, my bestie, Sydney.
Woohoo!
We are co-owners of Shield Maiden Training Co., and this is a show where we bitch, laugh, and chat about all things fitness and wellness related to women and the LGBTQIA plus community.
Correct.
That is correct, yes.
Yeah, we've been doing that for 76 episodes. I love it.
We have, yes.
One day we should just do a completely new opening. Pivot and people be like, what?
We would be so confused.
We don't even need
We
to
talked
look.
about routine last week. We can't do that.
That's true. We cannot disrupt the routine. Okay. 76 episodes, and this one is not one that is a huge departure from things we normally talk about. But I think it fine tunes. It gives some more context and depth.
Okay.
To the things that we promote and that we suggest people do. And if you're not doing them, I don't know why you're listening to the podcast. You should be doing them.
Okay.
We understand that some of them are a struggle, but this one in particular is incredibly important. And we talk about it probably every fucking episode.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's rest and recovery.
And
And
good stuff.
out there, I'm sure people are like, fuck, another rest and recovery episode. Didn't they just do this back in episode 51? And you would be correct. Yes. We did, yes. But this episode is understanding rest because you're probably doing it wrong.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So, in case you were wondering, 48% of 18 to 29-year-olds, so the Gen Z, report feeling drained.
Yeah, well.
And 40% of us age 30 plus feel drained and burnt out.
Yeah.
And 46% of women report higher levels of burnout, and about 37% of men report feeling that way. So clearly, we are resting and recovering wrong.
Or, counterpoint, the world's on fire.
The world's on fire.
And we're just doing the best we can.
Yes, the world is on fire. We are doing the best we can. And understanding the different ways to rest will make it better.
Okay.
I promise.
All right. So we all know, the collective we who listens to this podcast and has heard us talk about this many, many times, that rest and recovery is essential for our overall well-being, and it goes beyond just sleep. Yeah. There are different types of rest that contribute to a balanced and healthy lifestyle. Most of us understand physical rest, giving our bodies a break from physical exertion and allowing it to recover. This includes getting quality sleep, which for many of us is between 7 to 9 hours of uninterrupted sleep. Okay, I read a study.
I knew you were going to say this, and I was like, as soon as you sent it to me, I was like, she's going to read this episode and know exactly where to plug this study in. Yes, go, Amber.
Okay, I did not read a study. I saw a reel about a study.
Okay. I went and read this study.
Oh, good, okay. I knew you would have, obviously. You're the one who researches this stuff. But okay, so as with everything else, sleep studies were done on men.
Yeah, we did a whole episode about how most medical things are studied on men, not women.
Yes.
And it includes sleep.
Well, yes, but I didn't think about what kind of a difference it would make.
Okay, that's
sleep
fair.
is sleep, right? You need sleep.
Yeah.
I understand that different age groups need sleep differently. Did not realize that women needed 2 to 3 more hours of sleep than men.
Yeah.
And we are not getting it because we are told 8 hours is sufficient, because that's what men need. And I was angry.
Yeah.
I was so angry.
Yeah. So I can understand that, and I can feel that. And I think just anecdotally, I know I need more sleep than just most people. So on average, most nights I sleep somewhere between 8 and 10 because I go to bed at 9:00 and I wake up at 6, whatever that hour.
Yeah.
So it was just funny that I was like, oh, it's because like I'm not an oddball who just needs more sleep because I'm just a ball of energy during the day. There's more factors to it. And one of those factors is that I'm a woman.
Yes. And here I am, like being like, okay, my 7.5 average hours of sleep a night should be sufficient. Why am I so tired?
So are you going to do like your own little sleep study on yourself?
I might.
I think you should.
And
then we can do like a
more
report back.
Yes. And like give myself more grace. Because like if I do sleep longer, I'm like, oh, like why am I sleeping so much? I must be sick. I must be
Maybe that's why you
lazy.
get sick more often. It's because your body doesn't have enough time to rest and recover. And,
Maybe.
And so, yeah, maybe shooting for like 8 to 9 hours.
Right? Yeah.
I think we should do a sleep study on you.
Yeah.
Just
I might try.
a home sleep study.
Well, now that I finished Outlander, I'm not staying up till 11 every night watching Outlander, so I might be able to get more sleep. Anyways, okay. Reeling it back in. Okay, so sleep helps the body repair muscle tissues, consolidate memories, and regulate hormones. We've probably talked about this. We talk about sleeping and rest. In addition to nightly sleep, incorporating a nap, 30 minutes or less, during the day can improve productivity and can recharge both the body and the mind.
Yeah, anything over 30 minutes, most studies and doctor recommendations is then you get too far into your sleep cycle and then it's not great.
Did they do that study on men or women?
Probably men. Let's be serious. But that's why like sometimes when you take like an hour-long nap and you wake up feeling really groggy and like you've gotten into your full like REM cycle. So
wait, you guys are taking naps?
What?
You guys are taking naps?
Oh, I'm a great napper.
I'm a terrible napper unless I'm like real sick.
Shelby's also a terrible napper. I have always been, sleep across the board has always been one of my favorite things. I used to joke when I was a young, immature teenager, young adult, that I loved my bed because I could do all of my favorite things in it.
Yes.
Sleep, eat, and sex. You can do all of those things in bed. I don't recommend eating in bed. Crumbs, weird. But mostly it was the sleep part. Yes, sleep.
Sleep is great.
So, yeah.
Okay, so we are now starting to hear more about other types of rest and learning how to incorporate them so that we can rest and recover more effectively.
It's true. The internet is not all a bad place.
Are you sure?
Yes. The spread of information can be used for both good and evil.
Yes.
We are spreading good. So one of the things is you've probably started to see more of this on your Instagram or TikTok feeds, that it's what we would call emotional rest. So it focuses on taking a break from emotional stressors that involve, activities to help us really process and manage our emotions. So things like talking to friends and therapists, which we talk about a lot, journaling, and, just doing things that allow us to experience joy, but also process. So for folks, that can look like a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But we've definitely started to see more focus on emotional rest in a larger context. And I think that that's really important.
Yeah, definitely.
It can sometimes get confused with social rest.
Okay.
Which focuses on taking a break from social interactions. Because those things can sometimes overlap in that when you're in a social interaction with specific people, your emotional state is in a heightened state. So they can coincide very easily, where you're like, oh, if I'm taking this social rest, I'm also taking an emotional rest. But they are different. So socializing is important for humans. We learn this. We should know this. The pandemic really brought about the focus of not having social interactions and what it can do to a lot of people's psyches and all of those things. But the flip side of that is there are many folks who need time alone to recharge, to have more and better positive social interactions.
Yeah.
You know, introverts are kind of what most people would think of, right?
Yeah.
But social rest is about finding a balance that suits our personalities and our energy levels. So I think when listeners out there are thinking about this, I would stress trying to think about those two rests as separate entities. Like there's the emotional rest and then there's the social rest. But it is very easy to conflate both of them and be like, oh, these things go together. Because sometimes they do.
Makes sense.
Okay. Question.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So just okay, maybe more reflection. Thinking about these two things, do you feel like you, over the last maybe, we're going to say time frame, year, do you think that you have been good at prioritizing either of these categories? Is it something that you didn't even know you needed?
I'm going to say no on both counts.
Okay.
Well, maybe not no to social rest. I don't really social much at all, so I don't necessarily need rest from that most days. Never really thought about emotional rest. No.
No, never considered it. Nope.
Wasn't a thing that was on my radar.
Cool. Well, now it's on your radar. Look at that. I would say that for me, emotional rest is definitely one of the things that I've started to focus on over the last year, and has been really great for my mental health. I should probably prioritize social rest more often than emotional. Just, I have a tendency to go and say yes to a lot of things. One, I like being around people.
Fair. Weird, but fair.
Yeah. But I've also started to realize, like, I also enjoy being at home, and I am more comfortable saying no or checking in with myself and being like, my body is tired or my mind is tired. I'm going to not do the thing, even if I feel like I should, because we've been doing the podcast for a year and I don't want to should myself into situations. So like, for example, last Sunday, my body was really tired and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to go climb. Even though I know it's good for me and it's good social interaction and we usually climb on Sundays, I knew that if I climbed on Sunday, I was going to wake up like sick on Monday because like I would have pushed too far. So I'm getting better. I'm getting better at the social.
That's great.
Yeah.
Good.
Trying.
Good job. So we also have creative rest, which involves stepping back from creative or problem-solving activities. This can help prevent burnout and enhance creativity in the long run. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Engaging in activities purely for enjoyment without pressure or deadlines can contribute to creative rest. Building Legos, drawing or coloring, gardening, or reading are great ways to engage in creative rest.
Yeah, I think over the last year, we probably have started to do this one more. I know that like I started picking back up like reading more for leisure and not just to like stimulate, you know, like I got off the nonfiction train. But yeah, I think in our work lives, so many of us have deadlines and pressures and we're, you know, we put on our resumes creative problem solving skills, you know, like we, especially as women, because we kind of like wear that mantle of like, we're good at seeing a problem and finding different ways to solve it. And I think that contributes to our burnout feeling a lot. And so I think this one for all the ladies out there could be really important because not a lot of us get to have time to just do things for fun with no deadlines, no extra pressure, just pure hobbies, really. Like your hobby doesn't care how fucking good you are at it. Like
It's true.
And you can come back to it. That's the thing, is like it doesn't care. Like gardening is like, okay, cool, I'm just gonna grow. Like if you come out and prune me, that'd be nice, but like whatever.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
If I don't cater to my plants, half of them die. Morty's looking a little rough over there.
But I think like, you know, you just kind of I read something, actually, this is a good part for this, the other day, that when they were gardening and they were getting really into it and they were having they were really struggling, like when they would plant things and that plant would die or whatever, they had read or watched like Monty Don's Gardening World or one of those like BBC kind of type shows where they're like, like old HGTV where they did landscaping and like that kind of thing. And one of the folks on that program said, gardens are, I like to think of my garden as like a motel. And, some residents come in and they really like it here and they stay for a little while, and some don't, and they vacate pretty quickly. And like, if you think of your garden in that way of like, it just wasn't suitable. It just wasn't what they were looking for. And so that plant was like, I'm out. And like, it's kind of like a nice way to think about like, this just wasn't its vibe, and that's okay.
Unless you're like me and get emotionally attached to your plants and then they die and you feel
well, maybe this will help
a
you
lot of guilt and
kind of put that into perspective.
resentment.
That the plant wasn't leaving you. It's just your motel wasn't the vibe.
My home just wasn't its vibe.
Yeah.
Cool. It's cool.
It's okay. And for some it is. It's totally fine.
My $2 discount plan is thriving in my hostile environment.
Whenever you say your $2 discount plan, it just makes me think of that scene in Good Omens where he's yelling at him, like where he's like talking to the plants, but he's mean to them to like make them grow stronger. Because like from the 1970s, it was like, you should talk to your plants, and he just was like, get it together, or I'm gonna replant you. Like, it's great. Tangent, love it. Okay,
Yep.
Boop,
Okay.
bringing it back.
All right, let's look at sensory rest.
Okay, sensory rest. So this includes reducing exposure to stimuli that can overwhelm your senses. So some of us who are neurodivergent will understand this very well. So it can include taking a break from bright lights, loud noises, or busy environments. It allows your sensory system to relax and rejuvenate, which we love. And mindful practices can really be helpful to form a sensory, like you can kind of like learn to block out all of those stimuli. So yoga, meditation, that kind of stuff can be really helpful. When somebody's like, oh, what is a sensory? Well, let me paint you a picture. And I feel like many of us have experienced this.
Are you going to paint us a picture that's going to stress us out?
You're in your car.
Oh, no.
There's a lot of traffic. The GPS is on. You're in a new place. And you have to turn down the music so that you can see better.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So like
all the time.
Yep, exactly. That is sensory overload. That is like your senses. So like that's just a very contained example. But like what helps is obviously when you get out of the car and you can decompress from that environment is taking a small sensory rest. So think of that on a large scale. So like if you are in a house with your loving family and you have young ones and dogs barking and kids screaming and vacuum going and the TV's blaring, that
sounds like my personal hell.
That is probably a good option to look around and be like, I might be overstimulated. My senses cannot function in this environment, and find ways to use yoga and meditation to help with that.
Quiet room, a closet,
a bathroom. It's why a lot of moms and dads enjoy like I'm gonna
bathroom
just
time.
Take a little warm bath,
nice long shower.
Yeah,
totally. It's funny. I remember I have a very vivid memory of when I was working for Life Touch in Vermont. In my first time driving to one of the schools in Bennington, there was like a ton of one-way streets around the school, and I couldn't figure out how to get to it. And it was like, 6 a.m, so I've been blasting music to try and stay awake for this 3-hour drive. I remember very distinctly being like, shh, Bon Jovi, not now.
Not now, Bon Jovi.
I have to focus.
Yep. Yeah.
Because, of course, I didn't have like GPS because this was
20
years ago.
20 years ago.
It's a long time ago.
15 years ago.
Early 20s. Yeah.
15 20 years ago.
It's not 20 years ago. You shut your mouth.
What were you, like 23?
Yeah.
That is
15 years ago. Yes. 15. I am not 43. Thank you.
You're quickly approaching the 20-year mark. We digress.
Turn that down so I can focus.
Turn that down so I can focus.
All right. Let's move on to spiritual rest. Okay, so spiritual rest goes beyond religious practices and involves finding meaning and purpose. This might include engaging in activities that align with our values, spending time in nature, or participating in practices that provide a sense of spiritual fulfillment. I don't know why that was rough to say, but it was. Community events, volunteering, or solo camping. Period. Is there more to that sentence? Are those examples?
Those are examples. So some examples might include things like community events, volunteering, or doing like solo camping.
I see Sid's ADHD coming out in that sentence.
Yeah.
There's no precursor or post. There's no context. Just community events.
Do these things for
solo
spiritual
camping.
rest. Just this. Here you go.
Just these 3 events listed out in a sentence. No context.
Amber, why are you not in my brain? That made at the time when I wrote that probably made total sense.
And it does make sense. I think it just needs a couple extra words.
Probably, as most things do.
Those are great examples of how to provide yourself with spiritual rest.
It is. It is. I used to do a lot of solo camping, and it was I really enjoyed it. I don't know that I would be able, or I just don't know enough places in Virginia where I think that would be acceptable.
Yeah.
Also, because like a lot of it is like state parks. There's not a lot of like backcountry. Well, there are, but you have to drive for them.
Yeah.
So I don't know if solo camping, volunteering.
Yeah.
I should probably volunteer more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it's one of the things that brings a lot of fulfillment and would be really helpful. It's just sometimes I get so sad because the places that I would volunteer are going to be places like the animal shelter.
And you cannot bring all those animals
home.
I
cannot bring all of those animals home. And I would want to.
I struggled with that too. I volunteered at the Humane Society in Maine. And
I really struggled.
I was in the cat room. And I was like, oh my God, you're the sweetest damn thing I've ever seen. But my dog would think you were a toy.
Yeah. My dogs would really think a cat was a toy. But I think I should probably step outside my comfort zone, and because I have a lot of love to give the little animals, and I think they would
have a lot of energy to give to the little animals.
Exactly. I'd be the person who's like, can I take it on a run? Like, I'll make sure. I've seen some really cool ASPCAs recently on where they've done like remodels where they've realized, like the kind of traditional setup is not great for dogs, kind of mental health and things. So like they put them in soundproof, like angled, so they're not looking at one another.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
Which I think is really, really cool.
That's awesome.
So I think it's just, finding things, even if they're hard for you to volunteer, like I know it can be time consuming. It doesn't always fit in your schedule, but it's something I should work on to get some more spiritual rest.
Samesies.
Yeah.
I will not be solo camping though, as a true crime girly. That is not a position I'm putting myself in. I do not need to be murdered in the woods. Thank you.
I forgot you were a true crime girly. Okay. Well, to wrap it up, we know it's really hard to prioritize even just one of these, let alone all of them at the same time. As evidenced by us. And we aren't saying that you need to. What we're saying here is to identify maybe what type of rest you are lacking in at any given time, which admittedly is very hard because you might feel like all of them. So then you have to start to prioritize. What do you think can help you move the needle a little bit in a more positive direction?
It's time for our other favorite R word, reflection.
Reflection. It's almost like I put that in there.
Oh, did you? I didn't read ahead.
I think. Oh, I thought about it. You must have read my mind. Yeah. So I guess reflecting, if you are eating well, exercising consistently, getting solid sleep, and you're still feeling exhausted and drained, maybe consider like the last time you focused on rest that wasn't just like the physical element.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the perfect opportunity to reflect on the last quarter and see what other types of rest you can start to incorporate. See, I knew I put recovery in there. Reflection in there.
Of course you did.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, try and break it down in like a smaller segmented time. Like, okay, what is this, April? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we will have had the whole last quarter to be like, okay, how am I feeling? Am I hitting these kind of like benchmark rest and recovery things? What could I start to incorporate that would make me feel a little bit more energized and well rested?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
Me too. So I'm going to try spiritual because I'd like to get into some volunteering. And, well, I'm just going to keep going down my creative because I think that's fun. And I'm going to build Legos. Yay for hobbies.
Woohoo.
Yeah. So I'm really excited. I'm gonna try out a new closing, everyone. Okay.
All right, let's do it.
Bear with me. Here it is. This is going to be moving forward. Remember, whether you're lifting weights or lifting each other up, let's keep breaking down barriers, building strength, and embracing our rainbow of resilience. Until next time, stay fierce and stay fabulous.